This program is designed to provide general information with regards to the subject matters covered. This information is given with the understanding that neither the hosts, guests, sponsors, or station are engaged in rendering any specific and personal, medical, financial, legal, counseling, professional service, or any advice. You should seek the services of competent professionals before applying or trying any suggested ideas. Magazine publisher and entrepreneur Judith Mancini is sharing captivating conversations with experts in their field about the latest trend in our ever-changing world to help you become healthy, wealthy, and wise. Judith Mancini today will spark your interest and inspire you to lead your best life ever. And now, here's Judith.
Hit the road, Jack, and don't you come back no more, no more. Wow, we got ads up there on the radio station. I didn't know that. Everything's a surprise these days. So we're going to talk a little bit about that. What we're going to talk about is wrinkles, yes. Worry, no. We're going to be fixing the golden years without duct tape. Okay, so a lot of things are happening. Some good things, some not so good things. What is happening that it's good is they reopened the country, but they reopened the government, but it's going to take a while to get back to everything. And I don't want you to get up and say Trump is doing a bad job, because Trump is doing an excellent job to the point where people are trying to kill him. And why would you think that would be? Because they hate him, because he's right. We could be the golden country again. Look what he's already done in office. Ended wars, rebuilt the entire White House. And the people that are criticizing him for that are absolutely ridiculous. They've obviously never traveled to Mexico or to Europe or to South America, where they preserved the buildings because they built them so wonderfully strong and took care of them. Well, maybe not the pyramids so much, but oh yeah, you can even go climb up the pyramids, which I've done in Mexico. I've never gone to Egypt. I'd love to do that sometime, to climb up those. People, we should be proud of our country. And when foreign diplomats come, the presidents and the premiers and the whatever they are, their station, or they call them as the leaders, they're walking into a place that should be awe-striking them. I've been to Washington, D.C. I don't know how many Americans have or haven't been to visit on tours and things like that. I sent both of my kids on school trips to Washington, D.C. when they were, I think, in the 6th grade. I think that's when they took their trips. With a school, with chaperones, with people watching them, so nobody would get lost and nobody would get out of bed at night and wander away. It is an amazing place if you get a chance, and it's going to be even more spectacular. I can't believe that they never paved over that lawn area by the Rose Garden years ago. Who wants to sit in mud or rain when they're hearing the president talk? It's ridiculous. And what would happen if no countries took care of their prized living quarters or government buildings? You wouldn't be going to the Colosseum in Rome to see where they had the games. And granted, some of them were not so great since they were taking Christians and having lions eat them. But you should be proud of your country. And don't forget, President Trump was gracious and paid for that whole outdoor paving, and the ballroom was done by donations. People step up to do these things, and they should do them. So now he's working on the East Wing, and that's going to just be absolutely spectacular, and that's what we need. And then he did the hallway way of looking at the portrait of every single president. And it's going to have little bronze plaques underneath them stating what years they were president and what they did. I think it would be an absolutely marvelous thing to redo. But he's also doing other things. He's working on insurance because insurance is already whacked out. It's just horrible health insurance I'm talking about. And it's going to be even worse after the first of the year, and people can't afford it. I mean, my husband has to take one prescription that costs $1,500 a month. Who can do that? Very rich people can do that, but they don't even have this kind of insurance. They have their own personal insurance. They underwrite it themselves because they have large bank accounts and they can just write checks. Excuse me. So this needs to be taken care of. Now they're putting money aside to fix our air traffic controllers, the whole system there, the FAA. That is a mess, and it has been a mess for years and years and years. My brother was an air traffic controller, and it was a hard job. It was stressful. You people out there who are not familiar with the airlines like I am, because I was a stewardess. My brother was in there in the air traffic control. That was after he got out of the Army. And my first husband, my children's father, was a pilot. I took flying lessons in small airplanes, obviously, and I loved it. But when you start studying it, air traffic controllers aren't responsible for one airplane in the sky. That's why they call it the crowded skies. They have multiple airplanes and they're in multiple locations flying over our country and on into Europe or Mexico or over to Hawaii. They pass these airplanes off to another team of air traffic controllers. Check it out. I'm not sure you want to fly again until they get it straight. And yeah, I don't think the air traffic controllers should have walked off the job because that put everybody in jeopardy and had to cancel lots of business trips and things like that. So it didn't just hurt one or two people, it hurt a whole mass of people. And I don't blame the air traffic controllers for wanting less stress in their life and having to think about how you're going to feed your kids and your family, extended family. It's not pleasant, even if you don't have it. And I think that SNAP that used to be called food stamps, it does need to be cleaned up, because I have gone into, excuse me, stores. You're not going to believe this. Early on in my life, my first husband flew out of Newark, New Jersey. So we lived in East Orange, New Jersey, which was next to a not so great neighborhood. And I used to walk to the grocery store because I did. And sometimes it was pretty scary because these people who were using the food stamps were dressed in very nice clothes. And you'd kind of look at them funny. They were cheating way back then. And I guess it's even worse now that people are taking this money and taking advantage of it. When I lived in East Orange, they were buying liquor with it, and the grocery stores didn't care. It was for food. It was supposed to be for food. Food stamps. SNAP, I don't even know what SNAP stands for. Some of these public institutes seem to have people taking advantage of them, and I don't know how you stop it. I guess it's gone on for years and years, ages, all through history. So I don't think it's wrong to be cleaning up these things. Well, that's enough complaining. I'm happy the country's back open. I think things are going to get a lot better. I'll miss pennies. I've started collecting pennies to give to my grandchildren. just so they can start their own coin collections. And I'm encouraging them to do that. And maybe they'll have to do paper money too, because I think they're 7 and 11. I think as they grow older, we will be getting off of any of our coins. I think the next one will probably be the nickel. And if you have buffalo nickels, you better really keep those. And quarters will be next. I don't know about dimes. They're so tiny. How much does it cost to make a dime? Remember some of these things, silver dollars and quarters and all, they were made out of pure silver at one time. Yes, I was alive when they were doing that. And all of you in your 70s, you were alive when they were doing that too. Well, the reason they're stopping the pennies is because it costs more to make a penny than the penny's worth. A penny is worth a penny. A penny cost over 3 cents to make. So that doesn't make any sense. Plus, you want a whole pocket full of pennies? Probably not, but pennies do come out of heaven. Pennies from heaven. There's a song written about that. So keep your pennies. Don't get rid of them. Don't take them and cash them in at the bank for a nickel, because those are going to go away too. Anyway, that is starting at the age of 7 and 11, a coin collection for the kids. Next will be the paper dollar, because haven't you heard we're going to the digital dollar? Now explain crypto to me. I think I'm going to do a whole show on crypto, because I sure as heck don't understand any of that. And you'll all be happy to know I am taking small business. This woman that I have met, she is an absolute genius teaching me, because I don't understand anything techie. Juan has to walk me through everything. I just got a hold of him and said, I can't get on to the studio. But he straightened me out. I swear, I'm 78 years old and I have to learn all this new. Okay, that keeps you young. Learn something new. Take a class. Do what I'm doing, taking a class. And if you have a small business, I will at some point tell you how to get a hold of this wonderful lady. So let us do what I said in the title of the show. Wrinkles, yes. Worry, no. Fixing the golden years without duct tape. This is going to be simple. I want you to do this every day. You know, I have a lot of friends that I talk to occasionally. I try to keep up. I haven't been keeping up too well since we moved to the desert. I just have too much to do down here. But you should never be like me and have too much to do to talk to your friends and check in on them, because that's one thing that makes them happy and it makes you happy. So you should be doing that all the time, trying to keep a social life going. You don't have to go out to fancy restaurants and do things like that. You can go take a walk in the park. You can go hiking in the mountains. You can go to the beach if you live by the beach. There's all sorts of wonderful things you can do. And you're not too old in your 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s, and 100s. And don't tell me you're not going to live that long, because you can live that long if you take care of yourself and if you have interest in life and you're happy. If you're worrying all the time and you're criticizing people all the time, you're not going to be happy. And then you're not going to live a long life. Now, that's not guaranteeing you live a long life, because you have to be healthy. And unfortunately, and I'd like to know why, there's lots of crazy diseases wandering around. And hopefully Robert Kennedy Jr. will try to get some of this straightened out. At least he's getting some people off of pills, and they're working through President Trump, who is personally negotiating the drop in some prescription drugs. The first one, don't get angry about this. The first one are these new injections that help you lose weight. Now, this is a side effect of the drug that was helped to lower your cholesterol, or your diabetes, I should say. I don't know exactly how it works, so I shouldn't try to tell you how it does because I don't know. But he met with the companies and they lowered the prices from over $1,000 to I think it is $149 now a month. So at first I was against this because I don't think you should take weird things to lose weight. I think you should try to do it healthy by walking, eating less, and eating more healthy foods and your mindset. But that doesn't always work for everybody. What if you're a woman and you weigh close to 200 pounds, or you do weigh 200 pounds, and you have all these responsibilities and all? You can't do everything like that. So working out and going to the gym and taking hours to walk. So this is helping people and is lowering their diabetic problems, their heart problems, their blood pressure problems. So it's a good thing. So I take back my nasty remarks about taking injections to lose weight and look sexy. That's a nice side effect, I guess. So let's talk about your not knowing what to do to take up your time. Now, some of us are still working and some of us love to work. Some of us didn't get to work when we were younger. We were stay-at-home moms because you were frowned on if you had jobs. So we did things like modeling and we did anything we could work part-time. Well, some of them went to college and became CEOs of companies. I wasn't fortunate enough to do that. So I did do modeling. I was a stewardess. I did all those things. And then lo and behold, one day when I was married to my second husband, I said, you are driving our company, because I was a 50% owner, into the ground. And it was a publishing company. Excuse me. And so I said, enough of this. I'm tired of going to lunch with these ladies that are babbling about their health all the time. Now, I'm not talking about any of my good friends that are still in my circle of friends. I'm talking about the Hollywood type of people. And not all Hollywood people. I better be careful what I say because people are going to criticize me no matter what I say, because that's what they do with podcasters and people who are in the public eye. Even when you write things, when you write murder mysteries, you just get a lot of criticism out there. And what if it turned around and you said nice things about people? And things like, could you explain what you just said? Have a discussion. Quit this hate stuff. I've never seen people hate so much as I've seen them hate President Trump. It's just an unbelievable thing to me. And the stories they make up in the latest one from the BBC, how disgusting is that? They actually edited a video of him talking when January 6th was happening. It's just outright lies and unbelievable to me. Of course, those two people who did that at the BBC are no longer at the BBC. I don't know. The hate has to stop. And I've got to tell you, I didn't see it stopping when these people were discussing things with shutting down the country, shutting down the government, and shutting down the country. Let's stop hating. Let's try loving instead. Let's try liking. So why don't you go out and think about starting a new hobby, or maybe starting a business? Maybe you didn't get to work when you were younger. Maybe you always had this idea in the back of your head that never came to fruition. What if you are a fisherman and you like to fish in lakes and streams? So you use things like fishing flies. I can't remember the other word they call them, but they tie them up with feathers and all sorts of beautiful things. And it's quite an interesting hobby. And you could turn it into a business and sell them in other places, like a sporting goods store, or you could have your own site on the internet. And you could combine two things: learn technology, because the whole world is turning to technology, and you could sell the fishing flies. Or maybe you make beautiful bows for holiday packages or grandchildren's birthdays. People used to make beautiful bows on their gift wraps all the time. Now, half the time, they don't even wrap a gift. So what if you did that? You ladies out there who love to craft, why don't you turn it into a little business? I have a friend from high school whose wife is I don't know what to call her. She's an artist in my mind. She loves crafts and she has decorated their house so beautifully. And I don't know if she has a business or not. He's never told me, but she does once in a while sell some of their things. And I think she should have a big business. And maybe she uses Etsy. I don't know. I should find that out because she's a really beautiful, wonderful lady, and he's a wonderful man. And he was a photographer for years, so he still takes wonderful pictures, and it's really fun to see them. That's something that happened in our early 70s, I would say, maybe in our 60s, class reunions in high school. We had hundreds of kids in our high school class at Gardena High School. So we had a really large class. We didn't know every single person, but of course we had our little groups. You could call them cliques back there, but we had fun people, and we were a very diverse school. We had every race, religion, and creed in there. And we grew up loving each other. We didn't grow up hating each other. And it was an interesting time because it was when civil rights was coming into the media and everybody was talking about them and protesting or not protesting and wars. And Berkeley was a hot spot as a university. People were getting arrested. An interesting thing, I was in Chicago as a stewardess when the Berkeley things were going on and the people were arrested. And oh my, yes, I've lived everywhere. So you could do any of that. You could take anything you're doing and make it into a little business if you so desire. I'm not telling you have to go start a business if you want to be happy. If you have the means, you could really travel a lot now. Maybe your partner can't travel because they're ill. They have something plaguing them. Maybe they just don't like to travel. Maybe they don't like to fly. Maybe they don't like boats. Maybe you should start a ladies' travel group. And I have a friend from E-Women Network, the largest women's working network in the country, which you should check out if you're a businesswoman. I'm telling you, they are fabulous. They really help you. eWomenNetwork.com. So maybe you don't want to start a company. Maybe you want to travel, but you don't have to even travel far away. If you don't want to go to other countries, don't go. Maybe you don't even want to fly to New York. How many of you out there have even been to New York City? We just talked about Washington, D.C., the seat of our government. But how about New York City? It's the financial capital of the world. And it has unbelievable museums and theater. It's a wonderful place to go visit. Beautiful hotels, beautiful motels, beautiful walks in Central Park. It's really something. So not only did my kids go to Washington, D.C., we also took them to New York City. So that was an interesting thing. But we also took them to Boston and Philadelphia, where the Liberty Bell is. Also Sylvester Stallone running up the steps as Rocky. But we took them all over because we love to travel and we love our country and we wanted to see things. And I still love to travel and see things. And my husband and I have lived in so many different cities. Some people might think we're crazy, but we were able to do it because my kids were in college. My son was working and my daughter was in college. And so we were able to move all over. They were living in their own apartments, in their own places at the university, apartments and all. So we didn't neglect our kids. Actually, when my husband and I, Lou, he had no children and we're married. Now we're married over 30 years. We took my daughter to Italy. And that was really wonderful and fun for all of us because Lou is from Italy. He's a legal immigrant that came over when he was 13 and learned to speak English in a Catholic school. He could speak to the nuns in Latin, but they would tell him to go home and watch I Love Lucy and those different kinds of shows on television so he could learn to speak English. I bet there's a lot of people that did that. So you could travel around your own community too, because I'm telling you, I broadcast from the desert now by the Palm Springs area. And this place has an art museum. It has the Living Desert Museum. They have the Native American museums. And that, all this land was obviously all of America was owned by the Native Americans. And there's a lot of history down here and a lot of beautiful art from the Native Americans. And they have celebration days. It's wonderful to learn other cultures in the country that you live in. And it's wonderful to go around and see how the people live in different areas. It gets hot here. When we first moved down here, it was fall, October, and they had a heat wave. And I mean, it was a heat wave even for the desert in October. It was hitting 120 like 5 days in a row. And here we are moving in. That was the first time I knew we were going to have really huge electric bills because you got to keep your air conditioner running at least to 75. Okay, so after you do that, you can maybe find out what clubs are around town. There's everything you can join, from supporting different charities to being political. You know how to do that. Get on your computer, go onto the internet, and check out different clubs and organizations where you live. And it doesn't even have to be in a strange place. What if you lived in Los Angeles all your life and you just never did anything in Los Angeles to see what culture we have here? Because we also have wonderful theater, and we used to have a wonderful opera. I don't know. I supported the opera, and long ago I stopped because I moved across the country. So I don't know if we still have that, but we also used to have a ballet. So there's different things to do that you've probably never experienced. Now, what if you're short of funds? What if you're on retirement and you're on Social Security? How are you going to go have fun? Well, there's plenty of things you can do that you don't have to pay. So get out there and do them. I already mentioned I'm not going to go back over it. Get a side hustle on the internet. If you have computers or phones, you can do that. And don't think you can't get a computer or a phone, because there are some out there that could be resold from legitimate computer places that have been reworked and are less expensive than brand new ones. So check that out. You really just need access to the internet, and most phones, you can get the internet. I guess that's how the phone works anyway, somehow. And you can look things up on there. Get yourself acquainted with a phone. Now kids, when they go to school, they have computers in their rooms. When my kids went to school, I couldn't get my kid's father or my current husband to help me buy a computer, and they were pretty expensive back then. They said, those two men said computers would never be around. Well, that just proves I'm smarter than them. Okay. How about... I think I made notes to myself. I think this is wonderful. And this is something that my friend from high school does. It's creating memories with like a legacy project. You could do it with books, scrapbooks. You could do it making pictures and hanging them on the wall. Take a picture from your iPhone or your mobile phone, and you could do that. Or you could write your legacy out and tell your kids about it, your grandkids about it, because they probably don't know all of their grandparents. They might know your mother and father, or maybe they weren't fortunate enough to meet them. And I know there's a lot of adopted people out there, and they've went and found who they were related to, and some have been very happy and some haven't been so happy. So I have nothing to say about that. I would encourage you to do that if you want to, and it's a wonderful thing if you do. I'm just chuckling to myself about what my first husband said to me when we went to Ireland. He looked up everybody that were his relatives, but he said I didn't have any history, which I never argued with him. Why he made things up like this, I have no idea. So I like to start things out in the morning before I even get out of bed. I know some people think this is blasphemous. They don't like what I do. I wake up in the morning and I say my prayers. I say, thank you, God, for my blessings and giving me another day. And that's very important to me. And I've done it since I was a child, being raised by my grandmother. She taught us how to pray, took us to Sunday school, took us to church, had us sing in the church choir, went to church camp. I'm very happy I had that kind of an upbringing because it helps me through every day and through some very sad days in my history. So I'm very grateful for that. And I would say to everyone, whoever your God is, I hope you would share mine in Christianity, but that's not up to me. That's up to you, how you talk to a higher being. And you thank the stars, if everybody, for being on this land and living in this wonderful country and having all the blessings we do have. And then I roll over and kiss my husband, but he's not even in bed because he gets up at 3 a.m. Not because he has to, because he just got used to it when he was working as a CEO. I don't know why. Maybe he does his best thinking then. Who knows? So I come out and he's already had his coffee. I don't come out though at 3 a.m. I come out at 6 a.m. And I like to watch the sunrise. And if I'm having a really good organized day, I will go take a walk and watch the sun come up. Or if it's already up, I'll just take a nice walk and look around and see nature. And more people should do that. And, you know, if you don't feel safe walking in like a city street, go walk in Golden Gate Park or go in San Francisco or go walk in Central Park in New York or Griffith Park in Los Angeles. Now, I know you think these places are dangerous and they could be very dangerous. And that's a pity. It's just horrible. When we were growing up, we could go to parks all the time. We had birthday parties in parks. Now you go to small towns and you can find parks like that are safe. But in these big parks, don't fool yourself. They have people who patrol on horses, in cars, on bikes, and walking. So you are safe. Don't let criminals scare you away. Now, I'm not saying walk into a den of thieves, but don't let everybody scare the stuffing out of you. I didn't want to swear. So do that. Many places have paths. There's lots of parks in Pittsburgh, and some of them are dog parks, the kind where you can take your dog off leash and let it run around and it's gated and fenced. But I'm talking about beautiful wooded trails in these parks in Pittsburgh that wind through the woods. They've been built like that. And you can keep your dog on a leash and walk on these paths. Now that should make you feel good. To me, Pittsburgh is a really safe, beautiful city. I'd say it's one of the 3 most beautiful cities in the country. It's right up there on my list of number 1, competing with Washington, D.C., the district as we call it. Go do that, okay? Or take a walk on the beach or the lake beach. Take a hike. Now, if you're not having lunch with all your girlfriends all the time, What about this? Or your guy friends or couples? How about if you don't go out to dinner to a fancy place or a restaurant? How about if you all pack a lunch or a dinner and go to a local park before sunset and watch the sunset as a group? Or have a tea and have your girlfriends over and talk to them instead of on the phone. Hey, everybody, come on to my house. Go have a cup of tea at 10 o'clock in the morning. It doesn't have to be fancy, but you can get everybody together, and wouldn't that be fun? You can tell jokes. You can tell what your husband did to make you laugh in the morning. So strengthen those friendships. Now at the age of 70, some of us have spouses who aren't doing well health-wise. And so we become the caretakers. And it's very important as a caretaker that you remember to have self-care for yourself too. So I just want you to remember that. Now, if you are an empty nester and your spouse is no longer with you, or you don't have a roommate or something like that, and you're all by yourself, maybe you want a little company, why don't you go adopt a pet? A little dog or a big dog? A little kitten or a full-grown cat that somebody needed to pass on to the next person? Go do that. It will really brighten your day, and you can talk to them. They'll talk back to you. They will talk back to you, so talk to those. Now, out in the desert, this is kind of funny. We had a raccoon walk by the other day, only it wasn't a raccoon. It was half raccoon and half cat. And raccoon faces sort of look like a cat if you look at it. And they've got that long tail with the rings around it. And they can be very nasty. And a lot of them carry rabies. But the other day, and I swear I took a picture, but I'm trying not to keep all my pictures. And I wish I kept it. Because this raccoon was half cat and half raccoon. Now, I've never heard a raccoon meow like a cat, and this one was. We have a lot of feral cats around. Feral cats are kind of wild cats. They don't have a human home. And all I can think is they decided to become more than pals. It was really weird. And I've had raccoons in many of my houses living where I've lived, not in my house, in my garden or on my trees or something. So I know what I'm talking about, and I'm sure somebody else saw it too. So that's what I'm talking about today, how to stay busy and happy, because happy hands are good hands, and be grateful for them. Now, I want you to do these 3 things to stay healthy. First of all, get regular physical checkups. I have nothing against the medical field, but I've had very bad luck with doctors. And they won't listen to you. They tell you crazy things. One doctor told me that I had some spider veins in my legs because I wasn't moving enough. And that's very true. But I said, I don't have much get up and go because I just lost my son. And he says, oh, I said, to suicide. He said, oh, that doesn't make any difference. Who cares? A doctor said that to me. Well, I've not gone back to him since then. Sometimes they won't listen to you. And I've had people tell them that I feel a lump in my breast. And they say, oh, no, it's just a pimple coming out. It's going to pop out and you'll be fine. And lo and behold, they have to have a mastectomy, a double mastectomy. I mean, doctors spend a lot of money on education. But do you know one thing? They only have an hour to study nutrition. That's all they have. Now, maybe they're changing it. I certainly hope so. But nutrition and your diet play a big part in your health. Some doctors want to stuff you full of pills. I think I've told you that when I lost my son, that's one reason we moved to the desert. I needed a change of scenery. And I came down here and I was still very depressed. And the doctor wanted to put me on Lexapro. And I don't like to take pills. And I certainly don't want to get hooked on something like that. So I've always taken supplements and things like that. Ashwagandha, herbs, natural vitamins, supplements. And that's the field I was in. And I learned more as I had a nutrition magazine, Natural Health Magazine and publishing company. So when I couldn't, I was just staying in bed. I was being quiet. I didn't want to get up. I didn't want to do anything. I found through a friend of mine, she said, look at LifeWave. LifeWave patches are phototherapy. They have no medication in them. What they do is they bring the natural light into your body to stimulate your own stem cells. How is it done? I don't know. I'm not the scientist. But if you contact me at lifewave.com/Judith Mancini, they have wonderful videos I can show and tell you how they work, because I don't understand everything about them, but it does bring the light in. It stimulates your stem cells to go after a problem area in your body or to make it healthier, to pump up your energy levels and things like that. Well, I took their Eon patch and I put that on, and it is a calmative. It relieves your stress. It was a miracle to me. Well, their premier patch is X39. So I got that and I got the Eon patch at the same time because I wanted an overwhelming general sense of good health and mental health, physical and mental health. So I started wearing that. Oh, I forgot to put it on today. I was in such a hurry. The little patch is no bigger than a quarter, and it has a little bit of non-allergenic tape on it so that it'll stick on you. And then it has a little patch inside that brings in the phototherapy, the light to your body. Well, you need to look at it. Go to this site and it'll tell you all about it, because it is the most remarkable thing I've ever had. So every day, that's part of my being happy, is using these patches and telling people about them. So I want you to check it out because it will make your life, you'll be just so surprised. It will make you feel better. It will make everything go. You don't want to wear one of these crazy patches they have on television that take up this big of your body. Get one that really works like this. Go learn all about it. It's also a business opportunity if you're so interested. Well, so that's what I want you to do. I want you to eat whole foods, fruits, vegetables, lean proteins. I want you to move around daily, walking and strength training. You don't need to get weights. Get your dictionary out if you still have one, or a big book, anything, cookbooks. Lift them up, do sit-ups, do push-ups, do twisters. You can do some yoga things that will really help drain your lymphatic glands, nerves, everybody up here, and your legs, because your legs will swell if you don't move around, okay? They accumulate water and all the toxic things from your body, and they'll go straight there. Now, the things you want to stop doing to remain healthy, wealthy, and wise is stop smoking. I hate to say it, but I have a roommate called my partner, called my loving husband. And to this day, he still smokes. Not around me because I don't want it, never have. But things like smoking or vaping are bad, and we are now getting, instead of all the young kids smoking, we're getting them to vape. And the way they're put together is they're much stronger than just having a cigarette. My husband took a big puff of one of them. He almost fell over because you kind of have to learn how to smoke them, I guess. I don't know. Stop it. Just stop putting stuff like that in your mouth. Obviously, don't do drugs. Don't get into it. The fentanyl thing that's going on, you wouldn't even know it if it was in there, and that's what's happening. That's what's wrong. And I support President Trump getting rid of these people coming off of the coast of Venezuela. The other thing I want you to do is when you grow older, and I'd say it starts hitting you in your 50s or 60s, your body doesn't process things the way it did when you were younger. And so if you were used to having a martini, let's say before dinner, 2 olives, oh, I'll have another martini before we go in. I'm telling you, it hits you differently. And then you go into the table and you have 2 or 3 glasses of wine. You can't do it. You can't do it anymore. Now, I'm of the opinion if you have a drink that's not quite so strong like a martini, you could have 1 drink. And I am not opposed to having a glass of wine with dinner or before dinner. And wine, some people say it's healthy for you, and I think it is. Red wine, they drink it all over Europe. They don't drink so much white wine, but they drink lots of red wine. In all the countries, Italy, Spain, France, all the countries, Portugal, they drink red wine, and I don't see anything wrong with it. So do as you feel. It's me. I'm not the authority on everything. I'm just giving you some information. And the other thing is move around. You have to move around. Now you can get by without taking a walk, but I don't suggest it. People this age tend to sit down and watch the news all day long or watch movies all day long. They don't move around enough. And the longer you sit in a chair, the weaker your legs become and the weaker your spine becomes. You might not have osteoporosis, but that spine is not built to not move. It's built to move. Now, if you have spinal injuries and all, that's a different story. Okay? I want you to think about moving. If you have a small apartment or a small house, just walk around the house if it's raining outside and you don't want to get wet. Walk around the house. If you have a backyard, walk in the backyard if you don't want to go to a park. And if you don't want to go by yourself, maybe you can take that little animal you're adopting, or maybe you can take a friend. So get out, move around, say thank you for this wonderful world. And I say thank you for joining me. Remember to be healthy and wealthy and wise. And remember these 3 words as you go through your week. Cherish yesterday, dream tomorrow, and live today. Thanks for joining me.